Yes, let me go ahead and mute this TV. Anyways, how's everybody doing tonight? It's another night I can't sleep, so I figured why not go on live for a little bit. Start a Q&A and start a poll. Let's see what start a poll. Ask community a question. Really don't have a question I want to ask this time. Anyways, so what's been going on lately? There's been a lot of immigration stuff going on here in the States, in America. That keeps making the news almost every single day. Trump in his executive orders that keeps coming through nonstop to the point that I just lost track. Elon, his dealerships being, I won't say all of them, but a good amount of them being targeted, which I'm not surprised about, considering that he's targeting other people's uh, money and benefits. And speaking of benefits, a lot of our veterans are feeling betrayed. And, that's what happens when you're blind loyal to this one particular party. What's that? No, it's something from Instagram. I'll look at that later. Gilmar, hi, how's it going? Thank you for tuning in. Brandon, you too. How's it going? Where y'all from? Wait, did I say that name right? I know I'm getting a little tired. It's Brandon. My bad. I don't know what I said before. Anyways, where y'all from? Ultra Fire. I'm doing good. Hope you're doing good too. Pro Fisher. So Pro Fisher, what kind of fishing do you do? Do you do like saltwater, freshwater? What kind of fishing do you do, Pro Fisher? Las Vegas. Okay. I'm from Florida. I didn't need to know the city. This I'm from Florida. I'm just curious. Quite a few times when I do a live, I end up getting from people from like Africa, Germany, a few people from France. It's always funny, interesting who tunes in and from where. Freshwater. Okay. Being from the South myself, being from Florida, I do a lot of saltwater fishing. And yeah, it's just pretty crazy. Brandon. Okay. North Carolina. I was actually looking into moving to the North Carolina area mainly because cost of living is supposedly a lot cheaper up there. And y'all don't have like icy cold winter supposedly. So do bass fishing. Okay. Do you do any tournaments or anything with the bass tournaments fishing? I don't know what WSP stands for. Okay. So I don't know how often any of y'all look at random videos on like YouTube Shorts or on TikTok or just in general. I've been noticing a lot of relationships and how it seems to be a lot of people are steering away from them now. Yeah, I don't understand why. For example, it seems like that we're trying to get into an area to where we don't appreciate each other anymore, men and women, that is. It seems like the most popular thing that you see is a lot of women bashing men, and then on the other side, you see men not caring and just like, I'll just stay single, which is kind of sad because what made community strong and great was the traditional marriage, the traditional families. I know things cannot be traditional in this economy today, especially with uh, the head of household can not only work. Most people, most both parties have to work now. It's just kind of interesting. There's still that divide there, and I feel like it's very intentional um, by our government to help keep people split. You know, thank you, Kilmar. But truthfully, when it comes to people like that, I just ignore the trolls. Every single time I go live, you get a troll. I figured if I don't have at least one troll, I'm doing something wrong. And it's like that with most streamers. I'm starting to notice whenever they stream or go on live, they always have somebody trolling or being mean or whatever else. It is what it is. I think I had three the other night when I was on live. You know which part sucks? The trolls or the intentional separation of relationships? It seems that's going on right now. Because it really does make it seem like if you pay attention to a lot of social media in general, it's like people are being programmed to say they don't need each other anymore. Like I remember seeing relationships like my grandparents, my best friend parents. I saw a lot of marriages, long lasting marriages growing up that were like 20 plus years. And yeah, they had their problems and they suffered through damn near everything. If it's not financial, um, infidelity, the raising of kids, uh, there's a lot of stuff. And it seems like now when things get hard, people just want to jump ship. Me, I'm 40. And if you guys haven't already, go ahead and subscribe. I appreciate it. But yeah, I'm 40. And I was married myself. I was married to the woman that I thought was the love of my life. Uh, the thing about that is, though, I always believed, well, let me start over. I always said if I got married, I'm only getting married one time. I'm never going to get married more than once. And I meant that. I still do. Because I feel like marriage is more of a spiritual thing. I never really truly understood well, I understand it in a sense, the aspects of the government getting involved in marriage and things like that. But a divorce on paper is not necessarily a divorce in spirit. Um, so, yeah, I say all that. I believe if you marry somebody, you're tying your soul to that person. When things get hard, when things are good, you're supposed to be with that one person. You're not supposed to jump ship whenever things at the slightest inconvenience, right? So, yeah, because um, I never wanted to be a baby daddy. I never wanted to be a man that had like, three or four baby mamas. I always wanted a bunch of kids though. Like if I'm being honest, I always wanted like 5 kids. That's not very realistic in today's economy, or that's what I wanted back in the day. Whenever I would see, those healthy relationships and families that I got to be around, and even my own family, the get-togethers, the network. the strong network that you could potentially build. It's just, a good family union is a great thing. But yeah, it is what it is though. It's I guess they call it spin and block because once you find somebody that you think is good and you leave that person and you try to go back to them, they normally lose interest, and not because they may not still love you, it's because they know you're not solid. They'll know that you'll leave when things gets hard. So, and that's just kind of rambling. Um, yeah, I don't know how many people are married in here, but or were married or in long relationships. And the one thing I could say that the one mistake I could say I honestly made when it came to getting married, I got married too fast. And like most men, when we when we get married, or excuse me, when we meet the woman that we like or that we love, we'll know within like the first week, the first month that this woman is different. I want to marry this woman. Because realistically speaking, men can smell or tell when a woman a 304. Let's just keep it real. We can. So whenever we come across a woman that we want to give our last name to, share our life with, help garner and foster a relationship and everything else, then yeah, it's going to be, you want to get married to that person. You want to make sure you have everything in order. You want to make sure you have your finances in order. You want to make sure you have your family or your debts, your income, your investments, your house. You just want to make sure you have everything in order. So whenever you get into that situation, that marriage, that, it's just, you're going in with a clean slate. So you took this focus on each other and build with each other, right? My mistake was, and my instinct was that, my instinct was definitely was that. And, I worked hard. I found my ex wife her dream ring, but she wanted to hurry up and get married. And in truth, if I'm being honest, I think she wanted to get married before she turned 30, if I'm being really honest. I think that was really her rush. So I think we were together for a year and a half, I want to say. A year and a half to, yeah, about a year and a half to 2 years before we actually got married. And I think maybe we should have stayed engaged a little bit longer before we actually made that full commitment. Because you're still learning, showing that, first year or two. Kimar, you like this life? Thank you. I appreciate that. Hey, you think the girl is for you, then stuff happens and she doesn't want you anymore. Like what? You know what? You know why that is a lot of the times? What I have discovered that single friends can destroy marriages. So it's like that for men too, not just for women. But I'm speaking from the aspect because I'm a man, right? But what I noticed, things started to change whenever my ex would hang around her hoe ass friends. That's I'll just call it 100% there. Her friends that were either single and miserable, or her friends that were cheating on their husbands. And she would start listening to their stories and things they would do, and she felt like she was being left out for some reason. Even though they were envious of her and what she had, she felt like she didn't live enough in life to experience things that they did, so she could 100% relate. And that caused conflict because for me, I never tried to keep her away from her friends. I just strongly discouraged her from hanging around her hoe ass friends. But her married friends, I was all in. I was say, yeah, go hang out with your married friend. Let's go do this. I was all in when it came to her married friends, the happily married friends, not the ones that was, doing all that weird shit. I shouldn't be cursing on here, but yeah, it's influences. It really is influences. Because we live in a world where people, they really don't want to see you happy or do better than them. Yeah, one of my friends just broke up with his girl. Yeah, yeah, that sucks. And I'll tell you this: whenever me and my ex were together, I knew what kind of husband I wanted to be. I knew what kind of husband I wanted to be. So I knew automatically, and this is me making this choice on my own, not her asking me to or anything. I had to adjust to friends that I hung around. Like I had some guy friends that were cheating on their wives, that were um, cheating on their girlfriends. It was things like that that I didn't want to be around, so I chose not to. So I chose to hang around a lot more of my or interact with my married guy friends if I was to go do something, talk to them about something because I didn't want that. I didn't want to be influenced to do something that I shouldn't be doing. If that makes sense. So I made that adjustment on my own. However, my ex didn't. She ran more towards the single 304s compared to her married friends. The girls like to waste money. And you know what? It's an interesting thing that you said that because women pick and choose who they want to. I think the best way to say this: women pick and choose what aspects of tradition they want to follow or listen to. Like they want to spend a man's money, but they don't want to be submissive. When I mean submissive, I don't mean being on your knees and rubbing a man's feet. It's just being submissive in the sense of, cook your man a meal sometimes. Um, Listen to him when he says something, he gives advice. Things like that. There's a reason why they say it's a head of household. And when people hear head of household, they think you're going to be the boss. It's like, no, it's just, I'm the protector, I'm the provider. So my word should have more weight. But, you know, it is what it is, though. It's, sorry, I got a message to my phone. It is what it is, though. If anybody's watching, just go ahead and subscribe. I always appreciate it. But yeah, yeah. But here's the thing, and I don't know who's watching, but I will say this. If you're thinking about getting married, here's a few things I think you should consider before you get married. Religion. Religion's a really big one. Um, and let's say if you do both have different religions or faith bases, can y'all be respectful and accepting of each other's different differences in that area? Finances and credit. How much money you have in your account and how much money you owe. Driving record. I know it varies from state to state, but driving record is also really important because a lot of the time, whenever you get married, your driving record becomes one. So that means that if she has a bad driving history, your insurance is gonna be really really high. Or if yours is a bad driving history, really really high. Pro Fisher, God first. And, that's what I meant by religion because uh, if one's a I don't know a Hindu and the other one is a Amish Christian, then it's gonna be kind of awkward. It's gonna be hard. The differences, or if you're a Sikh and you practice Judaism, and that's why I was saying that's one of those conversations that's got to be had because we get so lost in the attraction and lust that we don't have those important conversations. Oh, anyways, the next thing, family. Family is really important. And what I mean by that is, it's not necessarily, um, it's more how she interacts with her family. Like, is she, does she or he, I don't know if a woman's going to be watching this, if they have like such family trauma that never worked out, how's the relationship with their family members? Are they like what is it called? Are they the Meg of the family? I don't know if you watch Family Guy. You know how Meg is always the one that's being picked on for the most part. Is that person's the Meg? And how do they handle the relationship with their family members? Do they let them steamroll them? Do they actually put them in their place? Um, and what's another one? Household responsibilities and bills. Household responsibilities and bills is a really big one too. Um, I will honestly say when I was at the time when I was engaged and about to be married, we was having that conversation, and I was already paying all the bills in my house, and she was moving in. I said, "Well, I still keep paying all of them." And then she wanted to be, well, she's wanted, I want to do 50-50. And then when she saw the bills, she realized she couldn't do 50-50, but she wanted to do what she could. And she contributed a good bit. So I can honestly say that about her. She really did contribute a good bit when it came to the bills um, while we were engaged and married. Things got fickle at the end, but for the most part, she did a great thing. And then if you have kids, this is really important. If you have kids outside of each other, so let's say if I have a kid and she have a kid, or if I have two kids and she has one kid, or whatever the dynamic is, that's a really big one. Because just because you love your partner don't mean your kids will. Just because you respect your partner don't mean your kids will. So you gotta make sure what ground rules we put down too when it comes to the kids, and disciplining them and encouraging them, and parenting styles in general. So a lot of time I know as people they just get married because they think they're so in love and they enjoy the physical aspects of it, the relationship and the safeness of it, if you're staying faithful. But they don't think about the aspects of it of those deeper details we really don't talk about. The things that you just have assumptions about, I think it's going to work out. And a lot of the times, if people actually took the time to have those conversations, it would make I truly do feel like the divorce rates would be so much lower. I really do. Thank you, Kilmore. I just went on a rant. Let's see. It kind of sucks when you like someone and they're a different religion because my friend was like, dang, she hot. She goes up and asks her number and she got rejected because he was a Christian. Yeah, and and that does suck. You know, I remember this was like a long time ago, long time ago. I was really into an Indian woman, and I forgot what religion she practiced back then. But she was like she couldn't date me because she knew her parents wouldn't accept me because of their faith or whatever they practice. So I was like, oh, okay, and that's why. And when I mean Indian, I mean I feel like I gotta be more detailed. Asian Indian, not Native American Asian Indian, because for the longest time when I was growing up, they used to call Native Americans Indians. So, but at the exact same time, I have seen it to where people they can have two completely different faiths, and they work out. They respect it. You'll have a man that'll go over and pray with the Quran um, and do his thing, and you'll have a wife that is just an old school Baptist Christian and lets him do his thing. So I have seen it work. It's it's easier when you do share the same faith, but you can't always control who you are connected with. And the other thing that I always like to tell people, and I'm going to get off this soapbox here in a minute, that love is a choice. And I don't think too many people actually realize that love is 100% a choice. Um, Lust isn't. You can't control who you find attractive. You can't control who you want to be physical with. But you can't control who you love because love takes effort. I mean, you're gonna wake up some days and hate your partner. Like this, straight up find them disgusting, but you're still going to take care of them and do the business that you should because you love them. You choose to love them. You choose to be there for them. You choose not to give up. And that's the real hard part. People feel like when they get out of that honeymoon phase now, and they're just like, oh, okay, well, I don't have no seeing butterflies anymore. What work have you put in there to keep those butterflies alive? Love is a choice. Love is work. Yes, you may get that first natural instinctive attraction and lust that made you talk and get to know each other. And let's not get it twisted with anything else. It is a straight lust. But the love that comes along eventually, and to keep that love going, is always always a choice. Talk to any old person. Talk to anybody that's above 60 years old and they're still married to their partner and they're honest about their marriage. What time is it? I see how six people that's uh, there you go. Yeah, I like this one girl and everybody makes fun of you. I don't see why they would. I'll never understand why somebody would make some fun of somebody for liking another person. I never got that. But it is what it is though. Well, yeah, that was my little rant about, love and marriage. You know, um, 100%. Who really cares? If that person serves you right, then you serve them right. Go ahead, go all in. But one thing I really can say is, I won't say necessarily hide your relationship or your marriage or whatever you're gonna have. Just be careful with aspects of it that you share. And what I mean by that is, if you're gonna have, like, if you have problems within your relationship, right? Don't go run to your family about your problems. Because even though you may be just be venting and laying out your frustration, and you may get over it in a day or two, or you may, whenever you're telling what's going on, you're just telling your side of it. However, though, your family members, your friends, the people who actually love you and came up with you, they're always going to remember what you said about your partner, and they'll hang on to that small little bit of resentment. It'll keep growing every single time you complain. So, if things are really bad and you need to talk to somebody about your relationship issues, depending where y'all at, maybe talk to a therapist. Because whenever you talk to somebody that has a bias for you, they don't always give you the best advice for you. Because they'll either see you as a kid because they're your parents, they'll see you as the best friend who they know the past mistakes they made. So they don't see the woman or man of who you are and who you're trying to be and become in that relationship. Because ideally, you're supposed to cleave yourself away from your, like your parents and your family, not family, but your family for the most part, and cleave yourself to your partner. I will say this: if somebody likes you and you like them, that's a beautiful thing. That's a real beautiful thing. I will say this though, and again, I'm just gonna relate this just to myself personally. Again, I had a woman that, beautiful woman, that was into me and liked me, but I liked her too, but I didn't pursue it. And the reason that I didn't pursue it personally because I wasn't over my wife at the time, my ex-wife. I wasn't over her. So it would have been wrong for me to pursue something with somebody else if I still loved my ex-wife. And that's what I mean. I can never be that man that just jump from relationship to relationship. I feel like that'd be wrong. Maybe when I was younger, but as the older you get and you start taking more people's feelings into account, you see how that's kind of wrong to do. Yeah, I must be young then, because because once you get above the age of 25, most people don't care about looks because they see how people who are quote unquote attractive will treat them, and vice versa. Most of the time, when you're above the age of 25, you start looking for quality in a person. You don't necessarily care about the physical aspects of it. Or, some people are just gold diggers. Either or. That's gonna annoy me. I'll be right back. Am I able to pause a live? Am I with anybody now? No, no, no. There's not any real quality women out there anymore. And it's one of those things, if I'm going to invest my time and money in somebody, I need to make sure they're a good quality person. Anyways, yeah, I'll be right back. I'm sorry for you, man. I don't know why you're sorry. I'm happy. One thing I've learned to value more than anything else is peace. And I have my peace. You cannot buy enough peace in this world. But then again, there are some people that thrive off chaos. They thrive off drama. I am not one of those people. I think it's the people that didn't have a hard enough life. It's the ones that thrive on chaos, personally. I really do gotta play around with the features more of going live on my phone. All right, Pro Fisher, you have a good night. Thanks for talking. Hope you subscribe. Thank you, you too. All right, then, bye.